What's going on, folks? So I got a band request here. The band Persevera reached out to me and asked if I would check out this song, and of course I said absolutely. I would be more than happy to. And the song is called "The Last Horseman," which is a cool sounding title, so I'm pretty stoked for this. But yeah, like I said, the band asked if I would check this out. Absolutely, absolutely. Always happy to check out anything, that a band reaches out to me and requests that I give one of their songs a listen. Always honored to do so. But without further ado, let's give this a listen, shall we? Rangers, go.
Sooner or later, all of us will
those of you who watch my channel a lot already, you know, I think you know that what my thoughts on this might be. But you know, first and foremost, I'm going to say before I even say anything else, this song is a little bit outside my wheelhouse. It's a little outside the scope of what I typically cover on this channel. So what I have to say, you know, take that with a grain of salt, because I try not to, you know, especially if it's a song that a style that's a little bit outside of the scope that what I generally cover. You know, I'm not as maybe comfortable with really giving my full thoughts on it, you know, because it's not something I'm as well versed in. So I just want to say that right off the rip. But second of all, what I'll say, and this breaks my heart, especially, you know, because the band reached out to me and asked me to check this out. So it stings for me a little bit more than usual. I never like saying a song is just really not my cup of tea in general, but especially if a band reaches out to me and asks me to check out a song, you know. But this song is not my cup of tea. You know, I just say that right off the bat. I mean, it's kind of it kind of rides the line, I would say, between kind of thrash metal and a melodic death metal sort of thing. You know, I mean, those heavy riffs, you know, that really crunchy driven nature, and then especially with the vocals thrown in, it's right there on that line, I would say, between thrash and death, neither of which are really in my wheelhouse. But thrash mixed with heavy power metal, kind of, you know, sure, but thrash mixed with a little bit more of a death vibe, it's not so much my thing. So but just trying to think of the song just in general, though, you know, it's got that headbanging quality. It's got that real, you know, that heavy, you know, like I already said, that crunchy kind of driven riff that it's a headbanging type of song, you know, and it certainly doesn't shy away from that. It's very straightforward. There's not much to the song, you know, as far as movement goes. I mean, it just feels a little static. It feels a little one note, if you know what I mean. So towards the end of it, I was getting a little fatigued just because there weren't many dynamics to the song. You know, there's not much in there keeping it feeling fresh. You know, it's once you've heard a couple minutes of it, you've pretty much heard the whole thing, and so you're kind of, it's almost like you heard the song and then you put it on repeat, so you're hearing it again, because there's not much that changes. You know, there's not much thrown in to keep the listener engaged, unless the listener just wants more and more of that, you know. Which for me, I would have liked a little bit more of a variety, you know, a little extra, you know, flair thrown in, you know, a little change, you know, whether it was through the bridge or just some sort of dynamic in there that kept the song feeling fresh all the way through the end, you know, because like I said, I started to get fatigued before the song was even over. And then even there in the bridge, it's like, you know, the solo was neat, but then even the solo, it just kind of droned on a little bit. It just didn't really add much to the song to, again, really kind of liven it up in any way. The mix, you know, sometimes with this style of song, having a mix that sounds a little raw, you know, it can lend itself to the song. You know, sometimes it's a creative decision. But in this instance, I think it's a little bit of a detriment, because not only do you kind of have this very straightforward kind of riff. I did like the riff, I'm not gonna lie, but it does go on quite a bit. But so not only do you have, you know, this sound that doesn't shift too much, but at times it just feels a little messy. And I think that's because of the recording or the mixing or whatnot. Sometimes the splashes of the drums, you know, the cymbals and stuff were kind of clashing, you know, I think with the resonance of the guitar, and then you have the vocals thrown in. So there was kind of, it got a little muddy sometimes, you know, I think because of that mixing. Everything didn't feel nice and crisp and clean individually. It kind of started mixing a bit too much to where it just became a smidge cacophonous, if you will. But yeah, I mean, so it's a tough one for me to critique again because it's a little outside of what I normally cover. But for this style, I think folks who like this style, this kind of genre, I think they would dig this to a degree, but I do still think that it needs a little bit of something in there to keep it feeling fresh because I mean they have a solid riff there. It's a solid riff. The drum work is pretty solid as well. The vocals, while not necessarily my cup of tea, but they work well for that cross between kind of a thrash and a death sound. So it works for that style, even though again it's not necessarily my thing. But for the style, I don't see anything wrong with it. But just as far as the structure of the song, it needs a little bit more of dynamic in there, or a shift of some kind, or something in there that kind of livens it up a bit. Because otherwise, it's somewhat just kind of drones on. And that's really like the best that I could say, for it. But again, I mean, it's a solid riff, and I could see the appeal. Folks who like this kind of sound, I could see the appeal of this song. But again, at the end of the day, I do still think it needs a little tweaking, to, to a little polishing, and a little something that makes it pop a little bit more than it does. Because otherwise, it just kind of goes and goes. But anywho, that's my thoughts on that. I'm really, really curious to see, what y'all out there, what are your thoughts on this song? Let me know in the comments down below. As always, I'm sorry to the band, but, I always appreciate that. So thank you for reaching out to me and asking me to check out your song. Even though it's not quite in my wheelhouse, I certainly wish you all the best if you check out this video. Keep on doing what you're doing. Keep on loving what you're doing. That's all that really matters at the end of the day. So yeah, again, thank you for reaching out to me. And folks, again, let me know in the comments below what you think of this song. Let's talk about it, and I'll catch you all next time. Ranger.